Hello, everyone. Before we dive in, be sure to first check our previous videos. Drop your thoughts, feelings, and lessons in the comments below. Like the video and subscribe so you never miss stories like this. Let's get into it. I met Serena Banks on a wet June evening outside an open mic in Detroit. She laughed at my shy poem, then took my hand like she'd already decided where this was going. By July, she called me my future. By August, she was my proposed wife-to-be, a ring winking on her finger like a promise I felt in my ribs. The first time I noticed something off, it was small. A waiter smiled at me, and Serena's eyes turned cold. She pulled my face to hers and whispered, "You don't need outside attention, Jordan. You have me." I told myself it was devotion. Serena loved big gestures. Balloons in my hallway, roses at my job, playlist titled Jordan Forever. But devotion came with rules. She insisted on approving my clothes for the right message, scrolled my phone while humming, and vetted my friends. When I introduced her to Amara, my old neighbor from high school, who once braided my sister's hair for prom, Serena clamped down on my elbow. "Pretty girls keep pretty secrets," she said. I laughed it off. Amara didn't. She left early, sending me a quiet text. That wasn't love talking. I silenced my screen and kept walking beside Serena. The first public scene happened at a cafe near the Riverwalk. A barista named Nia drew a leafy heart in my latte foam. "Cute," I said. Serena set the cup down like it burned. "Do you also sign your number in his milk?" The cafe went still. Nia blinked, confused. "It's just foam art." Serena turned to the line of strangers and said, "Ladies, please stop flirting with my fiancé." I apologized to Nia. Serena took it as a victory. Outside, she kissed my cheek and said, "I'm protecting us." My stomach nodded. Love shouldn't feel like a chokehold. Then came the work incident. I'm a project coordinator at a design firm. Collaborations are oxygen. Clients, vendors, freelancers. A junior architect, Keisha, had been helping me manage a complicated build. Serena arrived unannounced with vegan cupcakes, smiling like sunshine. She saw Keisha leaning over my desk, pointing at a blueprint. Serena's smile vanished. "How close do you need to stand to read?" she snapped. Keisha stepped back, hands raised. "We're on deadline." Serena laughed, a hard, brittle sound. "Deadlines or not, I know a woman's angle." The office froze. My boss later called me in. "This is disruptive, Jordan." I tried to explain that Serena was anxious about strangers. "Strangers," my boss said, rubbing his temples. She followed Keisha to the elevator to warn her. I felt heat flush my face. I'd never been that man, the one people tiptoe around because his partner's a wildfire. The next day, HR requested a talk. "It's not appropriate for your fiancé to police female colleagues," they said. "We value a safe environment." I promised to handle it. Serena cried into my shirt that night, swearing she was only protecting us. I held her and wondered why safety would have felt like alarm. Amara called to check in. "You're a good man, but you look tired," she said. I want to say, I feel watched in my own life, but I stayed loyal to the story I'd chosen. Serena was intense because she loved hard. We were planning a fall wedding. Ivy, brass, Motown covers, the kind of night our parents would talk about. Serena sent me a spreadsheet of guest list adjustments labeled risk zones. I stared at the names crossed out. 2 cousins, my college friend Bree, the woman who taught my little brother piano. "No distractions," Serena said, smiling. Another scene unfolded outside church. A choir member hugged me, saying my voice would be perfect for the stewardship drive. Serena slid between us. "He's taken," she told the woman, as though a hug was trespassing. The woman frowned. "I know, child. He's here every Sunday." Serena folded her arms. The choir director pulled me aside later. "We love Serena, but we love you too. There's room." I nodded and pretended to agree, but I had already learned room didn't exist when Serena decided a line had been crossed. She drew circles around me and called it love. The day it cost me my job, the sky was beautiful, all clean light and early fall wind. We had a client walk through with a developer whose wife, Tasha, was an interior stylist. Tasha arrived in a linen dress, hair in a sleek bun, pen tucked behind her ear. She asked me about wall spacing for sconces. Serena burst into the lobby, breathing hard. "What is this?" she demanded. Tasha blinked. "I'm the client's stylist." Serena laughed, sharp and cruel. "Right, and I'm the mayor." The client's face flamed. HR emails were already waiting by the time I got back. Termination felt like falling through a trapdoor. "Performance isn't the issue," my boss said, eyes soft, "but we can't keep managing these episodes." Clients feel harassed. I sat in my car afterward, hands on the wheel, watching people move past an ordinary purpose. Serena texted a stream of hearts, then, "Don't be sad. You hated that job." That landed like a slap. I hadn't hated it. I had felt proud, useful. I typed, "I got fired because of your behavior." She responded, "Our love is more important than anyone's feelings." I closed my phone and let the silence fill me. A week later, Serena left her purse at my apartment while rushing to a bridal fitting. "Guard my bag," she joked. It wasn't a funny joke. I wasn't a guard. After she left, my apartment felt too quiet. The purse sat on my coffee table like a dare. I don't snoop, but love had turned my life into a revolving lock, and somewhere inside me a key snapped. Maybe I thought I'd find reassurance. Instead, I found a small blue-bound diary with a ribbon tie. The handwriting on the first page was round and careful. For clarity, I told myself I'd only read a paragraph. That paragraph cut my breath in half. Jordan is Plan B. Secure, loyal, predictable. He will always be there. My chest tightened. I flipped pages. Plan A. Marry Elijah in 6 days. Detroit to Chicago, modern law venue. If Elijah falters, Jordan remains viable. Viable. I ran my finger under the word like I could erase it. There were entries about testing boundaries, controlling variables, sanitizing Jordan's environment by removing women who complicate attachment. She had labeled people like they were hazards. Keisha, hazard. Nia, hazard. Amara, severe hazard. I read my name attached to strategies like I was a project, not a person. Jordan thrives when framed as protector. Keep him busy fixing imagined slights. He associates busyness with usefulness. I closed the diary and sat still, pulse pounding, the room too bright. 6 days. She was to marry someone else. I imagined Serena in white, smiling at a man who had no idea. My stomach lurched. I thought of my lost job, of the people she embarrassed, of the way she curled into me after burning everything. I thought of how deeply I had believed in us. At first, I hated myself for reading it. Then I hated myself for not seeing it sooner. I want to call Amara, to spill everything and let her voice be the rope that pulled me back. But this was my mess. I let Serena define love as permission to control me, embarrass people who were kind to me, and shove me into the smallest version of myself. I folded the diary closed, tied the ribbon with shaking hands, and put it back. Then I walked to my window and stared at the city that had always felt like possibility. I didn't sleep. I watched night fall and lift again, gray light yawning over rooftops. By morning, a plan had formed, clean as a line. I would not be anyone's contingency. Serena texted about cake tastings and a big surprise this weekend. I replied, "We need to talk tonight." At lunch, I called my mother, told her I loved her. She asked if I was okay. "I will be," I said. Then I emailed a resignation from our wedding plans. The venue, the DJ, the florist, each received polite cancellation citing personal reasons. I was done being an option. I wasn't out for nuclear fire. I wanted truth to do what truth does, remake the room. I found Elijah's public profile through a mutual connection. He was a cybersecurity consultant, Chicago-based, dimples in every other photo, the kind of smile you wanted to believe. I wrote a measured message. "Hi, Elijah. We haven't met. I'm writing with respect and caution. I'm engaged to Serena Banks. I discovered a diary indicating you're her fiancé with a wedding in 6 days, and that I'm a Plan B. I know this is shocking. I can share entries and steps to verify. I wasn't vengeful in the note. I was precise. I attached redacted photos of the diary pages with dates and details only Serena would know, her aunt's nickname, the color of my bedroom wall, the name of the loft venue. I recommended contacting the venue to confirm. I offered to meet in a neutral public place or share more over a call. I pressed send and read the message 3 times as the world tilted and settled. When Elijah replied, he didn't rage. He asked, simply, "Do you have proof she is also engaged to you?" Proof was my weary specialty. I forwarded scanned copies of our proposal reservation email and Serena's messages about our playlist, the vendor invoices in both our names. Elijah's next message arrived 10 minutes later. "Thank you. I'm grateful and devastated. May I call?" His voice over the phone carried shock like a bruise. We compared timelines. Everything matched. He had met Serena at a conference in April. I'd met her the June before. "I'm sorry, man," I said. Elijah blew out a breath. "Me too. For both of us." We agreed on no theatrics. He would confront her privately. I would step back fully that evening. Serena arrived, eyes sparking, a bottle of champagne dangling from her fingers. "Guess what?" she sang. "Surprise weekend, Chicago." She set the bottle down, gauging my face. "What's wrong?" I nodded toward the couch. "Sit." She didn't. "You're scaring me," I said gently. "I read your diary." Her pupils widened, then narrowed. "That's private." "So is my life," I said. Silence ballooned. She tried laughter. "You think you're Plan B?" "Baby, come on." I opened the screenshots on the TV. Her own handwriting magnified. The room seemed to pulse. Serena's bravado cracked. "It's not what it looks like." "It looks like you curated my life," I said. "Like you humiliated women who said hello. Like I lost my job because of your jealousy. And while you were doing all that, you were planning to marry Elijah in 6 days." She crossed her arms, cheeks flushed. "I needed security," she said. "And options. Everyone keeps options." I shook my head. "Options don't require cruelty." She reached for my hand. I stepped away. "Jordan, no," I said. My voice surprised me with how steady it sounded. "I'm not an option. I'm not a cage you decorate and call love." She went cold then, like the sun dropped behind a building. "You'll come crawling back," she said. "Men like you always do." I opened the apartment door. "The ring," I said quietly. She looked at it as if it had just appeared. She slid it off slowly, laid it on the entry table with soft precision. "You're making a mistake," she whispered. I didn't answer. She left with the champagne still on the counter, the cork unwired. I stood in the hallway listening to her footsteps recede, feeling the same mixture of grief and relief you feel after a storm. Karma didn't arrive with fireworks. It arrived with phone calls Serena couldn't control. Elijah called her the next morning. He told me afterward how it went. Calm voice, simple facts. The venue cancellation confirmed. Her diary entries recited back to her. She tried denial, then tears, and the familiar pivot to piety. "I did because I love you," but love that requires lying is just fear braided with desire. Elijah ended it. The loft refunded half. The band kept their deposit. Serena sent me a text. "Are you happy? You ruined my life." I didn't reply. I went for a walk. Walking felt like returning to my own feet. Trees looked truer. Air tasted fuller. I passed a cafe where Nia once drew a heart in my latte. She looked up, wary at first, then smiled cautiously. "Hey," she said, "is it safe to say hello?" I laughed, embarrassed. "It is. I'm sorry about everything." She poured me coffee on the house. "You're not the first to think control is love," she said gently. "But love lets you be seen." I left a big tip and stood outside. The wind pushed a crisp leaf along the sidewalk like a tiny sail. I texted Keisha an apology that didn't dodge responsibility. She wrote back, "I've seen worse. Take care of yourself." I told my mother the truth. She was quiet a long time, then said, We raise our boys to be stoic and our girls to be wanted, and sometimes both stories swallow the people in them. I'm proud you chose yourself. Later, I called Amara. I expected coolness. Instead, I heard relief. I was praying you'd get out, she said. You deserve more than keeping the temperature down. We talked like we used to. Easy, curious, a river finding its course. Serena's final message came 2 days later. You don't get to leave me without consequences. Old Serena would have shown up to make a scene. This message felt smaller than her bravado. I blocked her number and archived our photos. I kept the diary scans in case she tried to recast a narrative. Mostly, I tried to unclench. Freedom is loud at first. You hear everything. The faucet drip you'd ignored, your own breath at night. I cleaned my apartment. I cooked my father's chili recipe. I invited my sister over. We laughed. The quiet began sounding like possibility again. A month later, at a friend's backyard cookout, Amara arrived in a denim jacket and gold hoops, carrying a pie. We hadn't called it a date. We hadn't called it anything. But when she set the pie down beside me, the moment felt like a soft door opening onto a room I wanted to live in. How's your heart? She asked and waited, really waited, for the answer. Tender, I said, but facing the light. We played spades, lost hilariously, then lay on a blanket, listening to old songs about people who learned things too late. We were learning right on time. Romance with Amara wasn't fireworks. It was warm lamps, unrushed laughter, respect that never needed an audience. She didn't shrink me or script my sentences. She didn't fear other women because she trusted herself. When the choir asked me to record a stewardship spot, she helped me pick a tie. When Nia invited me to a latte art class for charity, Amara sent a donation. When Keisha shipped a book on creative spaces, Amara said, "Let's read it together." Love grew not because we curated what the world could see, but because we let each other see everything. People asked about Serena, and I learned to answer without bitterness. She taught me what I won't accept. I said, I hope she heals. Karma had already done its work. Her double life fell apart under the weight of its own contradictions. I didn't need to add to the rubble. I found a new job at a smaller firm, where collaboration meant more than optics. On my first day, the office manager waved me toward an open workspace. We keep things communal, she said. No one's kingdom. I took a breath and settled in, grateful to be part of a we again. One evening, months after the diary and the implosion, I found Serena's champagne still tucked in my pantry, its gold foil dulled. I carried it to the riverfront and sat on a bench, the city lights blinking like small stars. I opened it gently. The corks signed like closure. I poured a little into the river, a toast to every version of me that stayed too long, that mistook power for protection, that kept peace by shrinking. Then I texted Amara, "Meet me at the cafe?" She replied with a heart. I walked toward the place where foam hearts weren't a threat. At the cafe, Nia grinned and flicked a switch on the steamer. Amara slid into the seat across from me, hands warm, eyes soft. "You look lighter," she said. "I am," I answered. We didn't need big speeches. We needed everyday kindness, the kind that steadies you on rainy Mondays and sends you laughing into weekends. I told her about a new project at work. She told me about a garden she was starting on her windowsill. We planned a trip to a jazz night, a farmer's market, nothing that required curating, everything that required showing up. When I think back on Serena, I don't imagine the dress or the playlist or the way she said, "forever," like an ultimatum. I remember the diary ribbon tied in a tremor and the moment I chose myself. I remember how truth, once spoken, did what truth does, rearrange the room, overturn counterfeit, made honest space. Serena's cruelty ended the 2 weddings she scripted. Hers with Elijah, mine with illusion. The breakup wasn't revenge. It was release. And karma, quiet and exact, arrived on time. In the life that followed, love became what it should be. Gentle, mutual, real. If you enjoyed this story, please comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.